Hello and welcome. You're very, very welcome to the very latest Lunch and Learn. Today we're going to be talking about starting your own business. So let's get today's show started.
Your local enterprise office, helping your business respond.
So today we have the amazing and incredibly passionate Noel Davidson of the Entrepreneurs Academy with us today, talking about tips and tricks for starting up a business. We also have Vibeke Delahunt, who's the head of local enterprise at the local enterprise office in Wicklow. And we have a super special guest with us today. Drum roll, please. We have Aoife McNamara. So a big hello to Aoife. Aoife set up her fashion business in September of 2019. Wow. Seems like a long time ago. And she's going to be talking about her business, Aoife Ireland, and sharing some tips and tricks with us. So let's get the show started. As the saying goes, when one door closes, another door opens. And I know now is a very, very challenging time for us all. And some of us have lost jobs. Some of us are in businesses that are struggling at the moment, and it's a very, very challenging time. But today is about seizing opportunities. Today is about thinking, did I have a business idea that I've had for years that I'd really, really love to implement? So now's a chance to maybe look at that and see whether it is a viable business that we could take on board. I'm going to bring in Noel Davidson from the Entrepreneurs Academy in here right now. So a big hello to you, Noel.
Hey, Greg, thank you very much for the introduction. No pressure from my end, of course, but there you are.
Oh, there you go. I said you were passionate and everything there, Noel, you know?
Well, when it comes to passion, Greg, I think you're winning that battle very much so. But listen, great to be here and thanks for the invite.
My absolute pleasure. Now, as always, there was loads of questions flying in even before we kicked off today's session. So I'm going to hit you with the first question. The first question that I was asked was, what are my first steps when starting a business? So I know that's a big question, but what are my first steps when starting?
The first step, it's extraordinary. So, Greg, you're in the same boat as myself, where just some of the companies that are delivering training on behalf of the local enterprise offices nationwide, there are 31 local enterprise offices. The first step is your local enterprise office. We always say it's the first step, because it's a one-stop shop. And, you know, we were only having a chat there earlier on, Greg, and I was telling you that some of the training, we're running polls and you were doing it as well. 54% of people on the last 4 or 5 weeks of online training, they're dealing with the local enterprise office for the very first time. Now, that's shocking in one sense, but actually it's very encouraging that people are now realizing there are those supports available. So localenterprise.ie/your county. That's probably the easiest way of having a quick look at their websites and seeing what's available. Their whole aim is to help you get started and staying in business. So there's pre-start, there's startup, and then there's growing. And they were the 3 themes. And all the training has now moved online. So in the last 7-8 weeks, all the training companies nationwide working with the local enterprise offices have pivoted and moved their training online. So number 1 on the list, contact your local enterprise office.
Okay, so there's your starting point. Now, this might sound like a very basic question, but you know, how do I know whether my business idea is a viable one or not? So I have this really good idea in my head, and even maybe my family and friends say it's a brilliant idea, Greg. How do I know whether it's a viable idea or not?
So I wouldn't ask family because they don't want to hurt you. But if you have some friends that you really trust and will give you an honest opinion, it's always a lovely way to start and say, what do you think of this idea? Generally, your family will always say, oh, that's fantastic. Sure, you're wonderful. And unfortunately, that's not really what you want to know. You're trying to get into the shoes of your client or customer. So if you have a friend that you know, like, and trust, and ask them what they think, that's always a good indication. But no idea is ever brilliant when it starts first. We all think they are, but it's only when you put them out into the realm. So some of the pitfalls is that people design something not fit for purpose. Number one, there has to be a demand. People need to want what it is you have, if it's a product or a service. So there has to be a demand. Now, you can have a demand for things, but that doesn't mean they're viable as a business. So the next step is that the figures work out. And then when you have those things in place, you then start working on a plan. And the local enterprise offices do provide training in each of those areas.
Okay, you talk about putting a bit of a plan together. Now, this is a very loose, it wouldn't really be a checklist per se, but these were kind of key points that you said to me earlier on that you believe businesses needed to have in place. So if you're looking to start up a business, let me stick this up. Maybe you can talk through kind of the checklist of things we'd want to consider if setting up our business.
So a typical start your own business course could be a 10-week session, 1 night a week, or 5-week session, 2 nights a week. And these are some of the areas that they cover. So idea generation. So you're kicking off with, is my idea any good? And the great thing about a start your own business program is you're in a room with other entrepreneurs in the exact same position as you, and you can bang their ideas off them and vice versa. So there's a program in place, there's some exercises to work on your idea, and it's always a starting point. Market research is huge, and we see this all the time. People are designing and building products and services, but not with the customer in mind. So market research, both primary and secondary, and then you're taught how to do that. And then you could have the most amazing business on the planet, but if nobody knows about it, you have no business. And Aoife will be talking about later on, I'm sure, about how she's marketing. So marketing and sales is a huge part of it. Then what do I charge? It needs to be viable. If I give it away for free, everyone will want it. But from a business point of view, how do I price my time if it's a service? How do I price the product? And how do I manage cash flow and money? So the accounting part of it is there as well. Then how I set myself up, tax and legalities. So how I hate figures. I'm not sure how to set myself up in a sensible way as a startup. And then technology. You've been amazing with the lunch and learns and how we can have 4 or 5 people in the room and share screens. Technology is with us, and it makes life easier. You can work smarter rather than harder using your mobile phone and a lot of the apps that are available. And part of the course shows you that. And lastly, and you mentioned yourself and your own business content planning, is we got a plan, a step 1, step 2, and have an idea of where we're going.
Okay, so there's a nice framework. So for anyone that's contemplating even setting up a business, there's a good framework. So have I got an excellent idea? Have I done my market research? How am I going to market my business? How am I going to generate sales? Have I got my pricing right? How am I going to manage my cash flow? Have I looked into the tax and the legal requirements for my business? What technology am I going to use? And have I got a plan? So talking of a plan there, Noel, there was a question in, do I need a business plan? What should be in it?
So everyone thinks of a business plan as that big 25 page document. And absolutely, we go through that. But ideally, Greg, a 1-page plan, a lean model canvas, it even has a name. It's 9 boxes, and it gets you to put down in bullet points who your customer is, the problem you solve, and then you work inside from that, a unique value proposition, your little tagline. And then it's built on 2 boxes, the finance, money in, money out. And literally in one night or one evening, if it's an evening session where you'd have participants in the room, you can go through a session box by box, and they'll have the bones of a business plan at the end of that session. Remember, all it is a roadmap. If you or I were traveling from Cork to Dublin or Galway to Dublin, we want to know the road to travel, the junctions to pass, where to stop for a bite to eat on the way. A business plan is no different. It's those milestones and stepping stones that you plan out to get yourself up and running.
Brilliant. And Jill's saying there that she's agreeing with you, which is good. It's great. She's not. She's agreeing with you. She says market research is the most important thing. So in your business plan, you want to document the research that you've done. So you want to clearly identify the market research that you've done in your business plan.
Big shout out to Jill Lush there. So she's Lush Marketing there in Wicklow, and she's at the coal front of this. And all these businesses have been pivoting and changing. So it's great to see Jill online there.
Yeah, brilliant. I'd say so we definitely need a business plan, but it doesn't need to be overly complex. I think one thing that Noel's talking a lot about here is the local enterprise offices run start your own business programs. Pure and simple, they run start your own business programs. So what are your starting points if you're thinking of setting up a business, or even you have an existing business looking for a new business, is to contact whoever your local enterprise office is, which is localenterprise.ie/, whatever your county name is, and contact them about when the next start your own business course is. But even before that, there's no reason why we shouldn't start to be looking at these checklists and fleshing out our business ideas. What I'd love to do, another question that came in, which is a fantastic one, is how do you turn an idea into a reality? So if I have a business idea, that's great. But there's talkers and there's doers. So how do I actually turn my brilliant idea into reality? Any tips on that, Noel? And we may grab Aoife now in a minute. Maybe she can tell us how she's turned her idea into reality in a minute too.
So it's a great question, and it's a very apt week to be talking about it. SpaceX are going to launch, hopefully, the 2 astronauts into space this week. They meant to do it last night, and they're hopefully going to do it on Saturday. So why do I mention it? So many people don't launch. You know, the easiest way of learning is to get up and do it. And that Nike slogan comes in, just do it. And there we have, there's SpaceX sitting on the platform. So they weren't able to launch last night. But Greg, I'm delighted you throw that up, because to get to this stage, they failed many, many, many times. You know, they had little prototypes, much smaller versions of that didn't take off, that took off, that crashed. They learned from those mistakes and rebuilt. And I think that's the biggest learning zone on anyone setting up a business, is failure is part of the game. But you fail fast, fail often, fail cheaply. So it's the way we learn how to walk as kids. You know, you take 2 steps, you fall over, you start to gain your balance. So a start your own business course is a lovely, safe environment to do that, to be able to trial out your first go at the market, if you like, with your offering, and you'll know what works, what doesn't work, and then you're constantly evolving. And I think that's a really important point. Those businesses that don't evolve, they die. You know, you only have to look what's happening at the moment with the current pandemic and the crisis. The businesses that we look back on in 3 or 4 years' time that are really successful are either going to be born right now, founded right now, or they're existing businesses that have pivoted. And it's a really exciting time. I think in your opening introduction, you said, yes, it's a tough time, but it's a really good time to actually start a business, because the world is changing so fast. And if we come up with a product or service or an idea that we think fulfills a need, there's demand, and we can make a living from it and make money from it, great opportunity.
Fantastic. I'm going to bring Aoife McNamara in. So let's. Hello, Aoife. How are you?
Hello. I'm very good.
Good to see you. Good to see you. So the question I was just asking Noel there is how do you turn an idea into reality? So tell us about how your business came about and how you turned that idea into a business that launched in September of 2019.
Yeah, of course. So I actually love what Noel just said there, just do it. And that is literally like my motto, especially because like in the current climate, what's happening right now, we never know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I think the most important thing is just forgetting about the noises around you and just going for it. But for me, I suppose it started, I went to Paris after college. I was working over there, and then I came home and I got a corporate wear job. And then it all just happened really organically for me, which is quite nice. I had a following online and people were interested. And I was like, okay, I'll start selling and see how it goes. And then from there, it sort of just took off. So I just went for it. And I was like, hey, Aoife, do you know what's the worst that can happen? If I go for it now, in a few years, I can always change my mind and do something else. So yeah, I think that's definitely my motto, is that I'm the same as Noel, just go for it.
So just go for it. Now, one thing you mentioned there, which is you've done very, very well, is prior to launching your business, you had you built a big following online. You said that you had a blog for years, and you'd built up a community. I know Instagram was a big part of kind of launching your business. Tell me about how you've used social media to I suppose to launch and to leverage your business since you've set up.
Yeah, so social media has actually been how I started a business, and still to this day, it's where I get most of my sales. So I suppose I started having a blog throughout college. I studied fashion design in LSID, and throughout the course, I was like, I'm going to start a course, because when I was in that course, I was like, I'd love to look at someone and figure out what the fashion industry is like, because I feel like it's this world that no one really knows about in Ireland. Except for nowadays, I feel like everyone is a lot more aware of it. But yeah, I think that's why I started at the start. So I started sharing a lot of what I was doing in college. And then it grew over time, my following grew. And then, yeah, I think having the Instagram shop, I was very fortunate to collaborate with Facebook last year, and I'm still collaborating with them on my Instagram. So they've set up my Instagram shop for me, and we're currently running different tests and seeing what works, what doesn't work. So it's an interesting collaboration that I have at the moment. But yeah, social media is nearly everything for me when it comes to sales and marketing and how I have a business.
So any tips or tricks on how you use social media in a clever way to generate sales or to promote your business?
I think knowing your aesthetic, like, it's so important. Like Noel was saying, like, research who you want to be, what you want to look like, educate yourself on who you aspire to be, what you want your business to aspire to be like, and then have that format and then see what feeds into it. So like I have an app that even for my Instagram, before I put up anything, I have it all planned out. Like, it doesn't just go up randomly. So I think planning your Instagram and like what story you want to tell to your customer is very important. And have a clear message in what you want to say as well. Don't be confusing, because otherwise you're sending loads of different messages. So I think it's important to be clear on what your target market is, who your customers are, and then how you reach them.
Fantastic. Now, one thing that I found is, you've set up your business to sell online from day one. Obviously, that should held you in fairly good stead during these challenging times when physical shops are closed. How difficult was it to sell online, or tell us about your decision to sell your products and services online?
Yeah, so for me, I suppose maybe growing up around social media, that was just the first initial thought. I actually never thought of any other way of doing it. So that was literally the first initial thought. I was like, okay, I'll set up online. And yeah, it's been such an amazing experience, like creating community online, and having the followers and having even them to bounce ideas off is amazing. So yeah, I'm really fortunate with the community we've created for Aoife Ireland. And it's going great so far.
Brilliant, fantastic stuff. Any tips or tricks for setting up a business? So what did you find easy? What did you find difficult? Did you do a start your own business course? What kind of advice would you give me if I was looking to set up my business right now?
Okay, so I'd start with educating yourself. I think educating yourself is the most important thing. Like, look to who you aspire to be like and see how they've done it. Read their biography, read their books, see what mistakes they've made, and then really learn from them. And if you can grab a cup of coffee with them, get a cup of coffee. If it's someone bigger, read their book. But I think it's starting with educating yourself, and you should always be a student. You should always be learning new ways of doing things. If it's sustainable design, for me, like, I'm always learning new ways of cutting the material, of new ways of different innovative materials. So I think always being a student is the most important thing to start with. In regards to courses, I actually did the SYOB program this time last year, it must have been. That was a brilliant course. So I did that first of all. I'm currently in the phase 1 of the New Frontiers program, which is brilliant. And I think they've been all the sort of courses I've done with Leo that I can think of. But yeah, they've been brilliant for me.
Brilliant. Now, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something that I know I shouldn't do, right? I'm going to make a big gamble here. I am going to change a setting here to try to reduce the quality of my camera to see whether we can get a better connection. That could mean that this session goes put and we'll have to reconnect. But it's worth a gamble. So my sincerest apologies if this doesn't work, but just so you can let me know, Chris. I'm back. Chris, I'm back. He says I'm gone. Just want to check. And even more importantly, I have Aoife there. Aoife, are you still there?
I was like, am I still live? I don't know what's going on there.
You're now live again. Yeah, no.
Is the connection better? Was it my connection?
No, I think it just had dropped, so I just needed to lower my quality to see whether we could make it a little clearer. What kind of mistakes have you made in business, Aoife?
What kind of mistakes?
Mistakes.
Oh, mistakes. Sorry.
Yeah.
God, I make mistakes every day. Like, I think, you just live and you learn with business, don't you? I think you'll never stop making mistakes. You're always going to be learning. You're always going to be trying new ways of doing things. And I think that's really important, to not be afraid of making mistakes. Being able to push the boundaries and going for it, and not being afraid of being like, oh, what if it doesn't work? I think starting a business is a risk, and you have to be a risk taker to be an entrepreneur. So I think it's important to make mistakes all the time. There's no clear mistakes that have ended my career just yet. But yeah, I'm always making mistakes and learning from them.
Okay, what's the biggest learning lesson that you've had in business? So give me something that you said, God, I shouldn't have done that, but God, that was a good lesson.
Oh God, you have me on the spot now. I don't know. Maybe it would be, I suppose, maybe hiring too soon. Even at the start of last year, I had a few different people, and I suppose hiring too soon could have been a problem, not knowing what way it was going to go. That's probably a really bad one. I don't know. You're gonna have to come back to me.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm gonna stick Noel back in there. He was laughing at you there, so I thought I'd throw him up on the screen there. What kind of things do you need to have in place before you start trading in business?
I think Aoife's just actually answered it, and I think Roisin mentioned it there in the comments as well. The customer journey, when you have your idea and you have the little bit, you got to do the customer journey. And Greg, I think I have a slide there I sent you where people design things one way, but you find your customer, the client, or the users of that go the opposite direction, And I love this. This is it's based on a German company who was building a university in Germany, and what they did was they built the university and then put everything in green grass, and then they came back the next year and then built the paths where people had actually walked. And I thought that was a great example. So as Aoife had said there, something as simple as get 3 people, 3 friends or 3 family members to buy something from your website, or as Aoife said, from her Instagram shop, and write down what they liked, what they didn't like, give you feedback on what you could change. That customer journey is vital. The easier it is for people to buy, the better they'll go through that journey and recommend you to their friends and their family to do the same.
Yeah, sounds good. And then another question that came in, and I know the answer to this one, but do I need a website?
Now, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. And I'll tell you why. It's really simple. The world has changed. in the last 7 or 8 weeks, we feel collectively that the business world has moved 5 years into the future. So the online world we expected would be about 5 years from now where we are at the moment. Everything is online because of COVID-19. The only way we could interact with family, with friends, and with businesses was online. If you're not online, no one's going to find you. We don't use the golden pages anymore. It's gone out of print. The book, I mean, you know, the website's still there. But if you think about it, 9 or 10 years ago, that's how we found businesses. You looked up a category. Now we Google. We want to find where they are on the map, their opening hours, and their offerings. And more importantly, we don't want to be first. We want to see other customers that have traveled that journey beforehand. And we won't buy something as an early adopter until we someone else has bought it first. So having an online presence to show testimonials and referrals, it is massive. It's huge. And everybody needs to be online.
Okay, here's another great question. I don't know whether Aoife had this problem. Throw you back in. This person says, I'm not good with figures. Should I hire an accountant? And that was kind of me. And I didn't. And I should have.
Oh my God. Hire. The most important thing I find, actually, this is nearly one of the best lessons that I've learned, back to you now, is delegate what you're not good at. Understand what you are good at and delegate the rest. At the start, I was literally trying to do everything myself. I was trying to be an accountant, trying to deliver, trying to sew, trying to pattern cut. And this year, I've actually just taken a weight off my shoulder. I have an accountant, I have a manufacturer, I have the delivery system set up, I'm getting a pattern cutter. So yeah, I think it's so important to understand what you love doing and what you should delegate, and your business will grow 10 times faster.
Okay, there's some words of wisdom. So the reality is, if you're not good with figures, or you're not good with any elements of your business, seek help. And there is help out there. And you know, I know in a little bit when we start to talk about the local enterprise office supports, you know, they're a great place to start if you need help with figures, or you're concerned and you need to even find an accountant, or you need a business mentor that can help you do basic P&L stuff. So absolutely. So I know you've talked about a lot of them already, Noel, but many businesses fail, unfortunately. What are the biggest pitfalls? So we talked about a few of them, but what are the biggest mistakes that we make?
So Aoife mentioned it. You know, she said there, I fail every day. It's part of the game. We don't call it failure. We call it feedback. So the businesses fail when they don't look at their feedback and they keep going. You know, and I think it's Einstein that's credited of, you know, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Definition of insanity. And unfortunately, really good business owners have learned that early on, that you get out there, you learn what works, what doesn't work, and you change all the time. You're changing every day. And I'm sure if we asked Aoife how many times she's changed plans and ideas and directions in the last 4 or 5 weeks, it's been huge, because our clients and customers are as well. I mean, who would have believed you could have an Instagram shop, you know? And I think Aoife is one of the first people in the country to actually have an online shop through Instagram, directly through Instagram, not just clicking and going to your website. And it shines a light on the future and where we're going. So absolutely, Greg, it's a great question. You fail often, fail fast. It's part of the game. It's part of the business game. We learn from it.
Yeah, and that's the key, is to learn from it. I mean, it's just criminal if you start to make the same mistake again. But again, if you make a mistake and you learn for it and you come back stronger, that's a great thing to do. Something that a lot of people have been talking about is networking. So, and this is a problem when we set up a business, is I'm all on my own. I'm allegedly the boss. I don't know who to talk to. I don't know where to get advice and support from. Obviously, the local enterprise office is one of the places, but there's a lot of talk in the chat group about groups and about networking. So how important is networking to startups?
It's vital, because when you start up, it's a very lonely road, you know, and no man or woman is an island. So it's lovely when you're in the room, whether it be a virtual room as it is now, or pre-COVID when we were in a live room networking with other people. They're going to be at different stages of business. So you might have somebody who has passed a hurdle that you're about to pass and they can give you some advice, or vice versa. You could be that person that has passed that hurdle and you're passing it on. And givers get. You'll find that clusters of businesses, even though they might be in the same genre of business, they help one another and they all thrive together. And I think that's really important. And we've seen the networks embrace the online world at the moment. So we've had 300-400 people on a Zoom call, and we're using breakout rooms and virtual coffee mornings or anything at all where you can share ideas or ask for help. And I think pride is probably the biggest damaging thing for any business owner, where they get stuck in it without asking for help. There's lots of help out there. You just have to put your hand up and ask for it.
Yeah. I mean, yesterday we had the student enterprise program finals, and we had a bunch of 15, 16-year-olds competing with amazing business ideas, already turning into viable businesses. And I think the one thing that the students were saying is, we didn't realize how many senior people and CEOs would actually speak to us and give us help and advice. And what was brilliant to see those guys doing is that they were reaching out and asking for help, reaching out and having conversations. And I think very often it's ourselves that hold ourselves back. We think, no, Davidson wouldn't be interested in speaking to me. He's far too busy. Aoife McNamara, her clothes are very fancy. She wouldn't have time to speak to me. And it is amazing if we reach out and network and even ask for advice and help, that it's there.
Yeah, I agree with you, Greg. And I think even when you're reaching out, reach out more than once. Because I think sometimes when you message someone once, they forget. And then you're like, oh, you're just like, okay, I'll just leave it. But definitely reach out more than once. They're more than likely a very busy person and forget to get back to their messages, like me. So definitely reach out a few times. If you're reaching out.
The rule of thumb, if you want to get in contact with Aoife, it's going to take a couple of times. Because you're going to forget about it. So you heard it here first, folks. I feel really, really bad. Not that we lost our audience there for a while, but we've got Vibeke sitting there. She's just itching to get in on the conversation. I can sense it. So I'm going to bring her in. Lovely to see you. We're talking about your mic is muted there at the moment, just so you know. Quick question there. You're live now.
Great, thanks.
Networking. So networking, do you have, I know the local enterprise office are fantastic. There's women in business networks for across a lot of the local enterprise offices. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the networking that the local enterprise office facilitates?
Sure, Greg, and thanks for bringing me in there, because I was itching to speak.
Yeah, I know you were.
I think Aoife made a fabulous point there. Don't just ask once, keep coming back. We have the local enterprise offices run several networks. Some of us run sector-specific networks, and most of us have networks for entrepreneurial women who meet regularly. Now all that has moved online. And it's absolutely a fabulous network where people are so willing to share their experiences, to help and learn from each other. And it gives that lovely cushion to know that you're not on your own, but it also gives you an opportunity to test new ideas that you might not otherwise get to test as easily. So I definitely would encourage all startups and pre-startups to check locally what sort of networks are there and join them. And in particular, I also want to give a shout out for Network Ireland, which is a dedicated female entrepreneurship network. And they do fabulous work. They run all sorts of webinars and opportunities to network and to learn from each other. Just like our own network of entrepreneurial women that we have in Wicklow, but it's a slightly different setup. And of course, the chambers run networking events as well, and so do any other organizations. So, look around and shop around and see where you feel comfortable and what you'd like to join, whether that's sector specific or whether it's, a female or male or a mix, whichever, whatever works for you.
Absolutely. So the one thing I would say with networking, I used to be so scared of networking. It was intimidating. And I know some of the female entrepreneurs and the female networks are fantastic, but sometimes it's having the courage to take that first step. Particularly when you go into a real networking event, you nearly get the impression that everyone knows everyone else, and you're the only person that knows no one. And I think that's not the case. And I think a big part of business is putting yourself outside of your comfort zone. Stepping outside that comfort zone, speaking and talking to new people. I know that's not easy to do, but ultimately, networking events, the amount of networking events I nearly went to when I was setting up my business many moons ago, only to find excuses not to go.
Well, can I just jump in there, Craig? Because maybe just to give you a good example, well, a couple of examples really, all our online training and before COVID, our physical training, would have coffee breaks, and there are always opportunities to network. And I have to give credit to Noel there as well. He's fantastic during his icebreakers where he goes around the room and asks everybody to introduce themselves or introduce the person beside you, and to talk about their USP. And kind of link people up so that, that barrier has been removed. And when it comes to the coffee break, it's much easier to approach people. The other thing is, I suppose, being an entrepreneur is trying to get comfortable in being uncomfortable. And, that applies for a lot of us. We are always learning, innovating and everything else, and trying to deal with new challenges. So networking can happen not necessarily at a designated networking event, if you know what I mean. During our last National Female Entrepreneurs Day last October, we had a networking session in Ballynock and Cookery School. So why, the groups, people were divided into groups, and they were given menus and ingredients to make different cookies and savory snacks together. And the crack was fantastic, and that whole barrier was gone. Everybody just mucked in, had a laugh, had a chat, and made these really, you started building relationships with each other, which is really what business is all about and what networking is all about.
Absolutely. And Becky's like me. That's exactly how I feel, Becky. I think everyone knows everyone. And suddenly realize that everyone's in the same situation. Everyone's petrified. But it's fantastic. Now, Noel has to nip off in a little bit. So talking of networking, you know a thing or two about networking there, Noel. What advice would you give to someone either pre-startup or already startup, thinking of setting up a business even? How important is networking, and what tips would you give there, Noel?
Yeah, be a sponge. So absorb as much as you can by meeting as many people as you can. So if you have a product or service, ask somebody about it, bring it with you, bring a prop. It's a lovely icebreaker to ask somebody what they think. They're going to want to do the same back with you. And as Vibeke said there, don't be scared of it. And especially now online, it's much easier, I think, actually online, believe it or not. One of the benefits of what we're doing now is you can join a room, you can join a session. I see Becky Harrison was there. So a Network Ireland are doing their sessions online at the moment. So it takes a bit of bravery to switch on the camera for the first time and let people see your face, exactly like in a physical room where it's difficult to walk up to somebody and say hi and introduce yourself, but you just got to do it. That's the biggest stepping stone. You're going to do it for your business. As Aoife said, just do it. Get out there and start actually building a business. Networking is exactly the same, but the rewards make it worthwhile. Absolutely.
So let's not be scared. Let's reach out and connect and talk to people and seek out virtual as well as physical networking events that we can attend. And as Becky says, just to be aware that so many people are equally as petrified about attending that networking event as you are. And the only thing you can be when you're networking is the best version of yourself. Don't be anyone else. Just be you. That's what people are going to buy into. Another question that came in was regarding, where was it? Was it regarding cash flow? How can I manage my money? I don't know whether you guys have any tips on that. I want to get to some local enterprise office supports in a minute, so we'll talk about some supports. But that's a big problem for startup businesses is money in, money out. Any tips?
So I'm going to pass to Vibeke on this one in a second, but it segues lovely with the Start Your Own Business course list that I gave there, where one of it is talking about the basic parts of it. That list, Greg, if you have it and you put it back up, one thing to notice is the local enterprise office don't just do Start Your Own Business courses. They do individual courses on each part of these things, whether it be technology or social media for business. But the number one course that anybody can do is managing their money and looking at grants and supports that are available. And Vibeke will be able to go through those. So I think I'll pass to you for Vibeke on these, but there's so many supports out there that people don't know about.
Yeah, we'll jump into the supports in a minute, but that's fantastic. I just need to, I'm like a sponge there, Noel. I need to squeeze every little bit of value out of you before you have to head off, because I believe you're doing some training in a few minutes. And promoting your company. So tips for marketing your business.
Yeah.
Because obviously you said earlier on that no one can buy from you unless they know you exist.
Yeah, and it's so true. And there's traditional marketing. So those 6 pillars or 5 pillars really still do work. So it's newspapers, radio, television, billboards, leaflet drops, anything that we traditionally used. But it's a whole new world now when it comes to digital. So likes of Google ads, Facebook ads, both going out on Instagram and the Facebook platform, and also on the Facebook network, which is very like Google. You know, you appear on a website and there's a little ad down the corner. Facebook do that too. And then LinkedIn. What that means though is you can target specific demographics. So if you're targeting female, aged between 25 and 45, living in a certain area, and they have certain likes and passions, in Aoife's case, fashion, you can target them. So it's not paying in advance and putting yourself out there on newspapers, billboards, and radio and television and hoping for a response. Digital marketing is targeting a specific demographic, and you only pay when you get a response. So you pay per click. And that's hugely valuable, and it follows on what we spoke about cash flow. So marketing is a necessity. If some people don't know about you, you don't exist. The power of recommendation is huge. So somebody buys from you and they're happy with that product and the service, they're more inclined to mention it on their platforms, and other people see that as well.
Brilliant. And a flip side question there, it's Mark's asking, any tips for finding suppliers for products?
Yeah. So hello, Mark. I was in school with Mark, actually. I know Mark Barlow well. So find suppliers for products. It depends if you're business to business, business to consumer, wholesale, retail, depending on what the product is. But people buy from people. We always forget that somewhere, it doesn't matter how big the organization is, there is a buyer making that decision. Ahead of procurement, and you put yourself in that client or customer. So if you have a product, how you find suppliers for it, you're looking for those people in the right places. So that could be LinkedIn, where you put up an ask, and as Aoife said, ask for help. You know, I need something to help me with this. So absolutely, you know, ask the question and you'll get a response.
Okay, and just to wrap things up with you, Noel, a slightly different thing, but something that Aoife may come into in a little bit is, you know, we're talking about having to change in these very unique times and maybe do business slightly different. And one thing that Aoife and myself were chatting about earlier on was we both got into walking. We're doing a lot more walking than we used to, and it's fantastic, because the problem with working from home is that you're at home all the time, so you're not getting that exercise. So you put some kind of things up on the screen. I know you can talk us through, but I'm saying adapt or die. That's not necessarily you, but we've got to think about the current climate with our business in 2020.
Yeah, so there was a lovely networking session with one of the South Dublin networks, and a company called iZest were presenting, and this slide just jumped out at me. This is what has occurred in the last 5 or 6 weeks. We're going to have social distancing with us whatever the length is, would it 1 meter or 2 meters, but that's going to be with us for quite some time. We're now doing virtual meetings, and all the training with the local enterprise office has all gone online. There's a reduction in travel. We're now aware we can work from home. As somebody said to me the other day, I'm not working from home, I'm parenting from work. I thought it was a brilliant way of looking at it, but work-life balance has changed. We're working remotely, but I've left that one top center to last: digital focus. Everything's gone online now, and I think every single business has to have some sort of digital online presence. And before I run off, Greg, to do this training session starting at 2, I do want to say something really important. From a business point of view, what we're going through at the moment is not unprecedented. Now, everyone is reeling back and going, oh my God, of course it is. But actually, from a business point of view, it's not. This has happened before and it'll happen again. In the 1900s, if you were a blacksmith shoes on horses, it was going great until Henry Ford launched the Ford Model T and started selling cars. You had to change. We had 2 world wars and businesses came and went as a result. But the internet killed thousands of businesses, killed them, as well as establishing thousands of more. So if you think of Blockbuster and Extravision, they're no longer with us, but Netflix is. And back then, Netflix wasn't doing what they're doing now. They were sending out DVDs. You'd watch them, stick them in a self-addressed envelope that they gave you and send them back. They pivoted, they changed, and they're still here. So my ask to everybody that's here watching the live stream and watch the back later on is be a Netflix. Don't be a Blockbuster. Try to pivot your business. And if you're coming with a brand new idea and you want to start your own business, there is not a better time than now, because the world is changing so fast. You've no legacy. You're not stuck with something that worked 10 weeks ago but won't work now, as many retail stores are finding, and they've had to pivot too. So first stop shop, contact your local enterprise office and get a start your own business course going.
Cheers, Noel. That's fantastic stuff. And Aoife, you're doing a lot more walking these days.
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, for me, fitness has always been a huge thing, like exercise first thing in the morning. And I've just started getting out of I was going to say the office, but my room after work is over, and just getting out into the fresh air. There's actually nothing better. And I think it's just so important for your mental health and everything to really keep your fitness up, and especially around now.
Yeah, I think work-life balance really, really important. And very often as entrepreneurs, we get so tied up with our business that we forget to look after ourselves.
Yeah.
So really, really good tip. If you don't want to burn out and you want your business to grow, really, really important. Yeah, brilliant. So work-life balance. So let's talk about some of those local enterprise office supports. I mean, one thing that Noel had spoken a lot about is the Start Your Own Business course, Vibeke. That is obviously a key starting point for an entrepreneur looking at setting up a business. Can you talk us through the Start Your Own Business course?
Sure, Craig. Thanks for putting up that slide. So, yeah, Noah has kind of touched on all the elements that you see there, the topics that are covered. And maybe just to give an example of how it works in Wicklow, we run a 10-week course, and we run that course about 5 times a year, but that was kind of in the pre-COVID situation. So we'll be looking at, what the demand is for it and reassess and put that back on. But all those topics there will be covered kind of on a weekly, once a week. And basically, they very much make up all the elements of your business plan. So once you have worked your way through them, you have your framework there, and all that should flow into your business plan. And just to highlight again, that doesn't have to be a 20-page document, but it is absolutely really important that you have a roadmap and know where you're going. The other thing then, like the Entrepreneurs Academy, the trainers who deliver these courses for us, they're very much self-employed, small businesses, they understand the journey and the pitfalls and the challenges, and that is important. They can share their experience, and they know what you're going through.
Okay, so again, localenterprise.ie. Contact your local enterprise office and see when your the next Start Your Own Business course is. Presumably, these courses are starting to take place online, or you're looking at moving them online. Brilliant.
No, all the Leo courses are online now, and they're all ongoing. Like we've just started the Start Your Own Business course. It was fully booked. They tend to book out quickly, and we limit the course to 15 participants to make sure that everybody gets the most out of it and feels comfortable. Most of the other Leos do the same. So go to the website and check out what's on offer. The local enterprise.ie is our national website, and then each of the local enterprises have a county one as well. And you find all the offerings there, not just the Start Your Own Business training courses, but bookkeeping, tax and VAT, marketing, sales, digital marketing, how to do your pricing. Generally, there's courses on all those topics. So it's important that you check it out. During the Start Your Own Business course, you'll be touching on all of that, but the designated courses will allow you to dive much deeper. And there's just a list to get you an idea of the type of courses that are on offer and what you can expect. But there's a bit of everything, and that certainly doesn't cover everything that's on offer there.
Cool. And if I just had a business idea there, I know there's business advice clinics. Now, say I don't have a company yet. Can I still contact you guys to have a chat with you about setting up my business? Tell me about the business advice clinics.
Absolutely. And maybe just to link back to that person who asked about financial management and cash flows.
Yeah.
So, if you have a problem or an idea, and whether you're in pre-start, startup, or established business, link it to your local enterprise office for these free business advice clinics. So it tends to be a 1-hour free clinic. All you need to do is email or call to book a slot with a business advisor. It's one-to-one, purely confidential, and you can make use of this service, which is free, numerous occasions. So if you have one or two issues you want to discuss with an experienced business advisor, you can do that, and a couple of months later, or whenever you feel the need, you can come back and link into that again.
Okay, fantastic. Now, another thing that I never I don't know whether Aoife seized upon this one, but I a big regret when I set up my business was I didn't get any mentoring. So at the end of the day, it's a lonely place when you set up your business, and you're on your own, and that was the hardest thing for me to get my head around. What kind of mentoring does the local enterprise office offer a pre or early startup business?
They actually have lots of options. So I know I got a mentoring for accounting with them, and I also got a mentoring through the SYOB program, who I'm still on to. Poor Martine, I'm always on to her, Martine McGrath. So I got her through the SYOB program. So yeah, I think mentors, they just sort of come like at different stages throughout your career. I wouldn't panic about it at the start. Like, you'll click with certain people, you won't click with certain mentors. So I think they sort of gradually come over time. And they have, I think you'll learn them through the course as well, like SYOB and different ones like that.
Brilliant. So SYOB, just for anyone that Start Your Own Business. So Vibeke, talk to us about the mentoring. So what is the mentoring? What type of mentors can I avail of?
Okay, so mentoring is kind of in addition to the business advice clinic. So the business advice clinic is a form of mentoring where you can bring your issues that you want to discuss. But mentoring is really if you have a very specific problem and you don't know how to deal with it, you need a bit of outside help to work your way through it. And you can approach your local enterprise office about getting a mentor. Especially at the moment, mentoring is free during the COVID lockdown period. Typically, what would happen otherwise is that mentoring could be free for the first session, and then you're asked to make a contribution of €50 if you require further sessions. But it is all about a very specific issue or problem that you need an expert to work with you on. But it's not a case that the mentoring is going to solve that problem for you. They will share their expertise and their advice, and they will assist you to work on that issue. Usually, so the topics that I'm referring to would be around financial management, HR, it could be digital marketing, or even moving your business online and the whole ICT piece. So that's kind of where mentoring comes in.
Okay, Brian, let's talk about financial support. You know, if when I'm starting out, I may not have lots of money. Is, you know, so there's training, there's mentoring, which is absolutely instrumental. There's an advice clinic. What financial support are available to startups through the local enterprise office?
There are a number of grant supports available to particular sectors I'd like to highlight. So we have, for instance, a feasibility study grant, a priming grant, and a trading online voucher that was already mentioned earlier by Noel. But to come back to the feasibility study grant and the priming grants, which are most applicable to businesses in a startup situation, to be eligible, you would have to be either in manufacturing or in an internationally trading service or a sector, which over time can develop into a strong export entity and hopefully potentially also graduate to Enterprise Ireland. There are other eligibility criteria, and you find all of that on the website localenterprise.ie/your county name. But for instance, if I jump to the feasibility study grant, so that is really to help you research your proposed business or new business idea and to see if it's viable and sustainable. And the findings of that exercise then should lead to a full business plan. So businesses or individuals that have an idea can explore the feasibility. And as I mentioned, these grants are ring-fenced for businesses that are manufacturing and internationally trading services.
Okay, fantastic. So feasibility is fantastic. So if I have a really good business idea, this is one of the first questions. How do I know whether my business idea is viable or not? I could use or contact the local enterprise office about the feasibility study grant to do a little bit of work to figure out whether it's going to be a viable business.
Yeah, you can. It all starts with contacting your local enterprise office, and very often with a session with a business advisor to ascertain whether you're in an eligible criteria or not, and then to discuss how it works, and we let you know what kind of costs are covered, what's involved in filling in the application form, and we work with you on filling in the application form. And then once that is all done, the application will be put in front of the approvals and evaluations committee, and they actually make the decision whether to grant the grant or not.
Brilliant. But one thing I think you guys are amazing with, in fairness, and you do a great job, is supporting businesses like me with that application process, because sometimes these forms look complicated, they're a little bit scary, and you're very good at helping navigate businesses, fill out the forms, and I suppose put in a decent application.
Yeah, we understand that it can be a daunting task, and it's not something that most of us do on a daily basis. We do, so we're familiar with it. And once you make contact with your local enterprise office and through a business advice clinic, once it's been established where you're eligible, and you want to move ahead when that talk has taken place, and you want to pursue an application, you'll be working with your business advisor to fill that in, and there'll be a lot of toing and froing, talking about what needs to go where, and the backup documentations, the financial projections that are needed. So it's not something to be afraid of at all. It's a fairly handheld process.
Cool. And you mentioned a grant, which I'd love to hear more about, called a priming grant. Tell us a little bit more. What exactly is the priming grant?
Okay, so once you're in business or a startup in startup situation, the priming grant is really to help you grow your business. So it's for limited companies or DAX, sole traders, cooperatives, partnerships, and the priming grant can be used to buy equipment, to employ further employees in your business. And it can also, in certain cases, be used for general overheads, for marketing, consultancy costs, and so on. So the priming grant is really about growing your business when you're in the first 18 months of starting up.
Okay. So this is absolutely key. So feasibility first potentially, and then the priming grant would be a great thing to get your business to the next level. So as regards to the priming grant, I can use it for new equipment, even assistance to pay salaries temporarily, rental costs, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe just to bring in here that in the case of the priming grant, it's 50% matched funding. So it's capped at 50%, and you'll be matching that yourself, the other 50%.
Okay, but that's massive support if I'm starting my business. It's amazing. Say it's not that we want to start businesses in debt or with loans, but I know you guys have a great relationship with Microfinance Ireland. Tell me about some of the loans that you guys can assist startup and small businesses with.
Well, Microfinance Ireland is a fabulous offering for anybody who is not if it doesn't fall within the eligible criteria for the local enterprise office. So it's a good alternative, but it is specifically for businesses and startups. And they offer a startup loan starting from 5,000 up to 25,000, who have already been refused funding through their pillar bank. So we would encourage anybody looking for a loan to be in touch with their bank first. And if they're getting signals that the bank isn't going to offer them a loan, then Microfinance Ireland is a very, very good alternative. And in particular, we have a close working relationship with Microfinance Ireland, and anybody who wishes to apply for a loan from Microfinance Ireland should really come to the local enterprise office. We appoint a mentor to work with them on filling out the application form and making sure that they have the best possible chance of being approved. But by submitting their loan application through the local enterprise office, they also avail of a 1% reduction in the interest fee. So right now is actually a very good time, Microfinance Ireland, to apply for a loan. They also offer the COVID loan, which is specifically for businesses who have been hit by COVID and have seen at least 15 to 25% reduction in their turnover. And they can avail of a loan through Microfinance Ireland, provided that they can't get a loan through their bank at 4.5% interest rate, and with a 6-month holiday on interest and overall repayments. So once again, it starts with contacting your local enterprise office and having that conversation with us of what your needs are, and we offer the most suitable supports from there.
Okay, so just there, if you can see it there. So it's just localenterprise.ie, and literally, if you click on the response button there, that's where you're going to find all the supports that are available for you, including the details regarding loans with Microfinance Ireland. Another really interesting initiative that I've just come across is the Digital School of Food. What exactly is the Digital School of Food?
Yeah, this started as a pilot in Dublin, but was recently launched by our minister Heather Humphreys for the whole of Ireland. So it's an online learning hub. If you are developing a food manufacturing business, or indeed you're at startup phase of having a food product idea, then you can go online and you can do all these different courses through the Digital School of Food online hub. And you work your way through it. It's divided in 6 teams. So you'll be working through strategy, finance, your route to market, sales, and each of them contain about 2 to 3 courses. And that will really prepare you for other courses that we offer through the local enterprise offices. So that will set you up and get you ready to maybe then take part in a 2-day food starter course, for instance, or possibly once you've done that, maybe a food academy further down the road. So this is a new initiative, and anybody who has a food product idea or is just starting out, check out Digital School of Food, and it will. There's an incredible resource there for you to get your journey right.
So brilliant. So if you're in the food business or thinking of setting up in the food business, it's digitalschooloffood.ie. Check it out. Digitalschooloffood.ie. Now you touched on something there which was interesting. If I was in that food business, what's Food Starter?
Food Starter is kind of the next step up from the Digital School of Food. So, you'll be revisiting the areas that you've looked at, your strategy, finance, route to market, but you're going deeper and more in depth. And look, it's in a small group generally. So up to now, we would have run Food Starter in a classroom with up to 15 people. That's now moved online. But these courses are designed for the particular phase that you're at in your food business. And it's a 2-day course. So, it's a kind of a step-by-step digital school of food, pre-start, startup situation, and follow on then is Food Starter. And, emerging from that, maybe you could look at partaking in Food Academy as well, which is a course that we run conjoined with Board BIA and SuperValue.
Fantastic. So just that. So the rule, the one thing we've said today, not once but 100 times, is our first starting point is to visit localenterprise.ie and contact our local enterprise office. Doesn't matter whether you've got an idea and you're thinking of setting up a business or you're an existing business. That is your starting point. If you're looking for supports, all the supports are listed at localenterprise.ie/response. You can see them. You can see them there. And at the top of the page, if you're looking to find details of your local enterprise office, you can literally just click on the little map up here and literally select your local enterprise office. So we might have gone for Wicklow here, because everyone is so busy at the moment with working from home and the volume of inquiries. Just to reiterate, if I contacted 0404 30800 and I didn't get through to the local enterprise office in Wicklow, a good tactic is to send an email. The guys are extremely busy. They are going through every single email. So if you don't get through on the phone, this is something we say every week, but if you're not getting through on the phone, drop an email and your local enterprise office will come back to you. So that's just my words of wisdom there, or my advice there. I want to bring Aoife back in for a second. I just want to say a huge thank you to Aoife for her words of wisdom today, for Vibeke for not giving me too much of a hard time for mispronouncing her name every single time that I said it. It was stressing me out immensely, and each and every one of you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much for all your time. And last but not least, he's already training away, talking about trading online for, I think it's Dublin City at the moment, Noel Davidson, for his time today. So from me, Greg Fry, that's the end of another Lunch and Learn. Thank you so much, guys, for participating.
Thank
And
you.
in the meantime, if you have any further questions, you're watching this on repeat, drop up message in the comments box, and we will come back to you, or visit www.localenterprise.ie. So from me, Greg Fry, and from the rest of everyone else, we will see you on the next Lunch and Learn. Take care and goodbye.
Your local enterprise office, helping your business respond.